Tuesday by David Weissner, narrated by Cassidy-Tuesday. Around 8 o'clock p.m. on a Sunday, foggy September night, frogs in a small pond surrounded by grasses were sleeping. That is, until they were woken by the fact that they had begun rising into the air. Still around 8 o'clock p.m. As the day comes to an end and the moon comes up, an inquisitive turtle comes out and begins to walk across a log leading into some grass. Suddenly, he stops and looks up, thinking he heard something. He blinks once and blinks again, gazing up at frogs flying over him, sitting on lily pads that carried them on the wind. He retreats into his shell and thinks aloud, could it be true, or am I imagining things? The frogs soar up into the air, spinning around and having fun, all the while flying over forests and rivers. They soon reach a power line occupied by a flock of birds, leaving the birds fluttering away and then looking back towards them in the city. What's all that about? One of them asks. As if on a mission, the frogs continue soaring through the air. They soon reach the suburban area of the city, and as they fly over the first street, they begin to descend. Around 11 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday night, the frogs race through people's yards, shouting yippee all the way. A man eating dinner pauses halfway to touching his sandwich to his mouth. He stares out the window at the frogs, shaking his head, and continues eating, sighs, and says, I see all sorts of things these days now that I have to work dawn to dusk. On their way through the next yard, the frogs crash into some of the sheets and towels that were hanging up to dry, making them look like ghosts to anybody who stopped to look. But soon after, the frogs find a purpose for them. Dropping their new capes as they continue their journey, they see a window flooded with light and decide to explore inside when they discover it's open. They find an old lady who is knitting in a chair across from her TV in the house. One frog, wanting to see the news, picks up the remote and turns the TV on quickly, stops to watch for a few seconds, then follows his comrades out the window. The old lady, hearing the noise, looks up only to see her TV on to the news. She shrugs and watches for a while before turning back to her work. Around 4:30 a.m. on Wednesday morning, the frog that stopped to see the news flew outside with his friends, and after a few backyards passed behind him, he bumps into something wet. Soon he realizes it is a dog's nose and croaks with terror, quickly heading back the other way, the dog in pursuit. The terrified frog shouted for his friend, and soon the dog was the one feeling overwhelmed. Once the fierce warrior retreated to the doghouse, the dog zipped past him towards some trees in the distance as the sun began to rise. But soon the frogs that took flight returned to land as the tree branches snagged in the lily pads that held them. As the sun shone its first light into the morning air, the frogs came careening out of the trees and back into their pond, while the ripped lily pads spluttered to the ground. The frogs make a safe getaway back into the grass and water. That had just been the best night of their lives, and they were all thinking of the wonderful adventure for many years to come. Meanwhile, once the man who had been eating the sandwich saw the lily pad on the ground, he immediately called the police, saying it was an act of vandalism. The police came out to investigate, but not a single officer or detective found a thing. Until next Tuesday, when the animals baffled everybody by doing the impossible once again.